Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Why is Instacart the holiday rescue app? Because you can get all your seasonal decor delivered instead of having to drive to 12 different stores. Candles and candy canes? Delivered. Wreaths and reindeer? Delivered. Lights from Lowe's? Delivered. And since I know you're going to ask, inflatable snowman? Delivered. So this season, stay in and get decked out. Download Instacart, the holiday rescue app, to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time, $10 minimum per order. Additional terms apply.
Hey everyone, welcome back my paranormal peeps. This is Matt Harvey with Deep Woods Paranormal. I'm your host on the paranormal podcast here. So today we're going to talk about a cool subject. Everybody really likes cemeteries because we're heading into October and Halloween stuff. So got a lot of comments, a lot of people asking about cemeteries. Matt, how many cemeteries have you been? Matt, how many times have you investigated cemeteries? Matt, all these questions about cemeteries. So I figured we'd go through and answer probably the most popular 6 or 7, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how many we get to today. All right. So very first question, and a lot of people ask this. Matt, are cemeteries haunted? Well, that's an interesting can of worms. So let's open it up and see what comes out. Okay, I would say most cemeteries are not haunted. I would say hopefully most people are at rest. I would really hope that they've moved on or they're haunting somewhere else besides the cemetery, because it's an big empty open space, and there's just no reason for them to be there. I know their bodies are there. And unless somebody really goes back there, probably when somebody first passes, I would say maybe they stay around their body for a while. Investigate in the morgue, and can't go into too many details because I did sign a non-disclosure agreement, but I could talk a little bit about it in general. Had lots of K2 hits. It was really sad actually. I almost cried because I felt so bad for this guy. But he passed away unexpectedly during surgery. So I can't talk about that too much more. But anyways, he ended up perishing, and so he was there. He just had arrived when we came in to do a quick investigation of this location, and we definitely had a lot of K2 hits. We saw shadow people. I mean, it was insane. That place was so active, and I just felt bad for all the people that were still there and all the energy that was created from people coming in to, not only pay their last respects to these people, but also to, start the mourning process where they were, buying coffins or buying an urn or having their deceased, cremated or whatever. I mean, unfortunately that's the other side of the paranormal. To hunt ghosts, somebody has to perish or pass away or die, and of course that's always the sad side. After my mom died, it really changed my perspective. I mean, I always respected the dead, the hell out of the dead, but after that, it was like everything just changed for me for ghost hunting, and so. Anyways, getting back to are cemeteries haunted or not? I think maybe when people are first buried, maybe they stay in the cemetery for a little while. Hopefully they cross over, if you believe in that, or whatever your religions are, or if you're not religious, that's fine too. I don't think you'd be listening to this paranormal podcast if you're not religious, unless you're just curious. So, anyways, this is all theory. You got to take all this with a grain of salt. There's nothing proven for any of this. Yes, there's a lot of documentation of people getting pictures in cemeteries and stuff like that. But in my experience, let's see, if people want to know how many cemeteries I've ever been to. God, I've been to probably at least 20 or 30. I don't like cemeteries, to be honest with you. I don't like them because of my first experience when I was a kid. We went up to visit family up in Northern California. Her friends, they were more like family, and old neighbors. And they moved in across from an old cemetery. And this place was huge. The cemetery was massive. And I mean, they were literally across the road from it. And so it was 4th of July, and essentially, I think there was like 3 older kids. I was like 5 or 6 at the time. And so we decided to play hide and go seek. And so I basically ran into the cemetery. Yay, stupid idea. Anyways, I was 5. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't really afraid of cemeteries at that point in time. So I ran in there, and I'm running as far as I can run. And this old man with a shovel just stops me out of the blue. He's just standing there. He's like, "What are you doing, son?" Or whatever he said. I can't remember what he said. He looked as solid as us. I mean, as I am. He looked alive. I mean, I couldn't tell that he was dead until he disappeared. But he said, "What are you doing, son?" I said, "I'm playing hide go seek." He goes, "Oh, well, go hide over there." And so, of course, I ran over and did what he told me to. And as soon as I turned around, he was gone. Ooh. A little paranormal activity going on. Someone just bumped the desk. And there's no dogs or cats in here except for the wellness tinker sitting next to the microphone here. Anyways, so that said, I spent, 15, 20 minutes wandering through the stupid cemetery. Almost got lost looking for them. And when the other kids found me, they were super upset with me. So long story short, got back that night and I slept in one of the kids' rooms. And I think it was the little girl's room. I slept on the floor, and she told me, because I was only 5, and I think she was only 5 or 6 herself, and she told me that, hey, the spirits from the cemetery sometimes come into the house, and I don't remember exactly what happened that night, but I saw something, and it spooked the hell out of me. And after that, I avoided cemeteries at all costs, probably for about 20 years. It wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I went back into a cemetery to actually walk around and do investigations. Most of the cemeteries I walk through feel pretty empty, and that's good. I mean, they should feel empty, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I feel like, I would, like I said before, I would hope that was me. I would hope that person or persons that are in the cemetery have passed on and moved on to whatever was next for them. Or, depending on what your religion is, I would hope they would follow your religion, if you have a religion. If you don't believe in religion, then I think maybe they just, the bodies die and that's it. So, anyways, don't want to turn this into a religious whatever, because that's not what I want this podcast to be. I want it to be paranormal in nature. So, that said, basically, some cemeteries I walk into, I hear, it's so loud. I just can't. I can't help myself. I can't walk into those cemeteries. I hear, and there's just talking everywhere. And God forbid there's anybody actually in the cemetery. I was in the cemetery with a friend one night, and it was probably about dusk. The cemetery was going to close in about an hour. And I'm walking by, and it just felt so stupid. I just didn't want to talk to this lady, but something was just egging me on. And it kept showing me this guy with a box. And he had it, he kept showing me it's in a closet. I'm getting goosebumps as I sit here and talk about this. And I never did go approach her, but because I just didn't want her to think. I didn't want to. I mean, how do you approach somebody and tell them, hey, there's a message for you? Somebody's trying to pass a message on to you for you. Um, I guess there was some kind of letter somewhere. Maybe she was listening to this podcast. Hopefully she is, and maybe I don't know if she's even alive anymore. But there was some kind of check or something that he wanted her to have, something that would like her life insurance or something. He wanted to make sure she knew about it because I guess he never told her about it. So, anyways, that being said, I feel like something just finally crossed over. Hopefully. Um, But anyways, that kind of stuff happened to me a lot when I go to cemeteries, especially if other people are there and the cemetery's loud. Most of the time, that doesn't happen anymore. Most cemeteries seem to be pretty empty. There are a few cemeteries I've been to um, that seem to be active. One we're still actively investigating. So I don't want to talk about that one because that's actually an upcoming investigation. We will be doing a cemetery, a two-part investigation in a cemetery. So that kind of covers my experiences. I have come across. Sorry, got dogs barking. I have come across a couple of cemeteries that seem to have demonic activity, and they seem to, want to hurt people. A lot of the times, bear with me for just a second. Sorry, I had to wet my mouth there. So a lot of the time, it seems like they try and manipulate people into thinking that they're spirits and they're not. But you walk through the cemetery and it's just thick and heavy. And it's like a demonic type activity. Tinky. So, cemeteries, you have to be super careful. If there is activity in there, a lot of the time it is demonic in nature. Those things sit there and they prey on paranormal investigators and other people that are unsuspecting, and they'll basically try and go home with you or attach themselves to you, or there's what we call leeches, and that's a spirit that basically is, I wouldn't say vengeful, but they're angry and they're frustrated. Something happened to them that unfortunately has caused them to be a little more aggressive, maybe. And then all they do is they basically, like I call them leeches, they basically suck the energy out of people. And that's all they care about doing. They just suck the energy out of people. And usually they leave people with a really either sad impression, or they leave them with just feeling drained or sick or whatever. And that happens a lot in cemeteries. So I always tell people, we've talked about paranormal protection and all that stuff before. I'm not going to go back into that. But you have to be so careful it doesn't matter what location you're going in to investigate. But I would say, especially at some cemeteries, not all, but some, they're few and far between, thank God. But I would say you have to just be so, so, so careful. Clear yourself when you're done. When you're going in, if you're religious, say a prayer, bless yourself, sage yourself, whatever your protection is. If you just believe in God, well, God's going to protect me. If you don't believe in spirits or anything, then you just maybe have more of a mental toughness. Okay, nothing's going to mess with me. And that works too. I mean, if you have that kind of a mental toughness, usually stuff doesn't mess with you. So, again, just be careful when you go into cemeteries. A lot of people especially teenagers, like to go run through. A lot of teenagers like to go mess with cemeteries and walk around and get scared and all this other stuff, especially during Halloween time. And that's awesome. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do as a teenager. You're supposed to go have fun and live your life and stuff like that. But if you're listening to this podcast, just remember, when you leave a location, it doesn't matter if it's cemetery, anything, and you feel like it might be haunted or it might be possibly haunted, always clear yourself. If there's anything with me, you cannot come home with me. Say it once you get in your car started, get yourself on the way out, get yourself on the way home. Halfway home, say the same thing. On the way home, when you pull up to your driveway, you pull up to your carport or whatever, your parking spot. If there's anything with me, you can't come in my house with me. You stay out here, you're not welcome in my house. You really should go back to where you came from. If you just get dropped off, same thing. Just clear yourself. just make sure that whatever may have come home with you, if anything at all, tell it it's not welcome to come home with you. Okay, so let's move on. There's been a lot of reports of Bigfoots in cemeteries. Everybody says, Matt, why are Bigfoots in cemeteries? Why are they messing with stuff in the cemeteries? To be honest with you, I just don't know yet. I've done a lot of research on Bigfoots in cemeteries. I think that a lot of the time, that's an area where deer go to, and there's other food sources. It's usually quiet at night. People don't usually mess with cemeteries, so they cruise down into that area to hunt, maybe, or maybe they just like the solitude. Maybe they like to be in there where it's quiet. Maybe they're just trying to cross over from one area to another. Maybe they're walking through the cemetery to do it because they find it to be safe. Like I said, there's that one cemetery where we're going to be going back to, where inside the cemetery seems to be haunted, or demonically haunted, I should say. Part of it's demonically haunted. And then also the outside, there is some kind of, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a Bigfoot, a dog man, a ram man. I don't know what it is. I've talked to lots of witnesses. A lot of people have seen strange things. Recently, we obtained a couple of pictures from a trap cam that don't look, I don't know. I mean, they're not clear enough to say for sure this is a Bigfoot. But I want to credit my team member, Dwayne Essa, for that. I'm not going to show those pictures on this show, but in the future, when that show does come out, you might see it. It's not conclusive proof, more of a blob squatch, but when you look at it, you can kind of see something standing there. When we were last at this cemetery, we heard a loud tree branch snap, and then we heard something growled at us. Really, really loud growl. Wasn't demonic in nature. It came from the forest. The cemetery is surrounded by forest. It's surrounded by woods, and that area is a Bigfoot hotspot. So I'm hoping it's a Bigfoot, because we're going to be going out in those damn woods in the middle of the night, running around chasing down whatever this might be, looking for hair samples, looking for footprints, trying to get conclusive proof of whatever that is. So again, that will come. I kind of talked about attachments. You just got to be so careful. And anywhere you go that's said to be haunted, or even if it's not said to be haunted, if you just feel like something's with you, you need to tell it to go away. It's not welcome to come home with you. So I beat that to death. Who or what haunts cemeteries? Again, it kind of goes into what I've already talked about. Like I said, I think sometimes human spirits might get trapped there. Maybe they're stuck with their body. For whatever reason, they have some kind of unfinished business and they want to continue on, and they're still fighting to hold on or whatever. They get buried, and then basically they get confused. They get stuck in a cemetery, or something like that happens, and maybe a demonic entity gets a hold of them, and then they become a servant of the demonic entity, which is never good. That always sucks when human spirits get beat up by a demonic entity, or having to service a demonic entity, or serve a demonic entity, or negative entity, whatever you want to call it. Just a bad presence. Let's just say that. And they basically beat up on them, and they use them to do their bidding. So, like this one cemetery I was talking about, there seems to be, in the very front, there seems to be some kind of maybe a guardian type entity in the front. And I don't want to get too much into that, because we're going to get into the show here in the next, hopefully, 2 or 3 weeks. And then also, in the back cemetery, because there's 2 cemeteries, there's one in front of the other, there is definitely demonic type entity. The further back you go, the thicker the air gets, and the more heavy it gets, and the more, basically something doesn't want you there. It was me. I know a couple other people got sick in the cemetery while we were there last time, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get into that show too much, but I've seen some things that were just scary, and we'll talk about the things that we saw here in the next little while when that show comes out. Okay, scariest cemetery I've ever been to. I would have to go back to my very first experience in the cemetery. I would say that when I saw that guy holding the shovel, he looked like an undertaker. He looked like he was basically digging graves, and when I turned around, he was gone. I think that was probably my scariest experience in the cemetery. Other than that, I'm trying to think what other experiences I've had that were. Most of the experiences I've had in cemeteries were good. Possibly saw an angel one time, and again, this is just my experiences and my opinions. So I don't want to offend anybody, but I definitely think it was possibly an angel. Can't prove it, can't anything like that, and I don't want to offend anybody. But yeah, it definitely looked like an angel to me. It was white with white wings, and it was just my experience. It was my personal experience. I have no way to prove it. That was a really cool experience. I just felt scared. I couldn't, that night for some reason, I think it guarded me from whatever and told me to leave. So I was basically by myself at this one cemetery. I can't remember what cemetery it was at. I don't know. It was a big one. And just by myself walking through with a night vision camera and a couple of IR lights, and just out there with a K2 and an audio recorder, and just walking around, and all of a sudden it felt just real thick and heavy, and I was like, oh no, this is not good. So I started to, basically use my religious beliefs, and that thing showed up, and everything felt better, and basically I walked out and I cleared myself, and that was it for the night I left. It wasn't really scary. It was like an oh crap moment, pretty much. Maybe I shouldn't have been there, is what my thinking was. Another experience at a cemetery, we heard a woman scream, just a God-forsaken scream. God, it sounded like she was being murdered. And that was actually one of the reports that came from that cemetery. Unfortunately, that recording is long since gone. When my computer got hacked 15 years ago or whatever, it wiped all my audio, all my video, all of the stuff. 15 years worth of investigations gone. But anyways, that's another story. Okay, so I don't want to go too long on this recording. Somebody asked, how do you become a guest on the show? Just have to contact us. You can contact us via cell phone, which is down below. You can contact us through our website. You can contact us through Facebook. All this stuff is linked down below. You can leave a message in the comments. You can message me through YouTube. Whatever works for you. My cell number is all over the place on anything Bigfoot's paranormal related. You don't have to physically be in Texas. We've investigated with other teams, and we've also done podcasts where we've interviewed other team members or other teams or other people that research the paranormal just via conference call like this, where they're on one side of the screen, I'm on the other. So if you have a story to tell, we would love to hear it. Happy to have you on the podcast, not only for YouTube, but also for the normal audio podcasts that most people listen to. Like I said, just contact us. It doesn't have to be ghosts or Bigfoot. It can be UFOs, anything strange or unusual. But we want a real story. We don't want you making up something as you go. We want something that really did happen to you that you can't explain, that you feel is paranormal nature, where you saw a ghost, you saw a Bigfoot, whatever. And and on the show, we will never, ever, ever ridicule anybody for anything. I mean, their experiences are their experiences, and their beliefs are their beliefs. So, just want to make sure everybody understands that. Like I said, Amanda keeps telling me I'm making these audios, these shows too long. So, last but not least, want to give a shout out to my friends over at the Bryan Ghost Walk over here in downtown Bryan, Texas. The ghost tours will be starting up soon. I believe I will be over there for the October 22nd ghost tour. So if you haven't signed up yet, please do sign up. We take tours like every Friday and Saturday night. We really appreciate your support in doing that. We're just trying to do some research in downtown Bryan. I do believe that there is some kind of activity down there. We've made contact with quite a few entities via the Spirit Box and the K2s. The tours are interactive. Basically, you get to use most people get to use a K2. We do Spirit Box sessions so we can hear what's going on firsthand, and then basically, people share their personal experiences and stuff as they have them, which is always fun too. So, anyways, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching. If you're viewing this, thank you guys so much for your support of Bigfoot's Paranormal. We really appreciate it. Lots more shows coming down the pike. We've scheduled all the way out to, I think, the middle of December. So we've got an old town we're going to, a famous old town. We're going to spend the night in this haunted hotel. We're going to be locked down in this haunted hotel with owners. Like I said, we've got a cemetery coming up. We've got a UFO investigation coming up. We just tested some gear over the weekend again. We're trying to fine-tune using the telescope that records with phone and stuff like that, so that's really cool. Night vision binoculars that we just got actually seem to be able to see up into the stars, and so we can use that to record with night vision, which is cool. And then, of course, more Bigfoot research, and then a lot of new witnesses have come forward. We appreciate that. Thank you guys for coming forward. I know it's very hard come forward and tell us about your experiences, especially out here in Texas. Like I said, we don't ridicule anyone. We listen to your story, and we probably will come out and take a look and see where you had your experience. And, we're happy to help you investigate that area and see what you can find, and hopefully take away some fear of having that experience. So, anyways, again, thank you guys again. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. You guys all have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.